Yo, Foxy, it's your birthday. Not for real, just for play. This is Cree Summer, and Moana Nui will be right back.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of THIStory, Hidden History. This is your August 2025 edition, and tonight we are doing something a little bit different, although honestly, it's the same thing we always do. We're talking to you about the history of maybe some people that you don't know. The whole goal of this show is to make sure that, especially in our current climate, that the contributions of people of color, of women, of queer folk, et cetera, are not forgotten, let alone erased. And so tonight, since this is the week of Dragon Con, and for those of you who don't know, actually, by the time, if you're watching this show, you know what Dragon Con is, right? If not, look it up. But this is Dragon Con week in Atlanta, and nerds from all over are going to be here doing nerd stuff. And there's a tendency to believe that, you know, the archetype of a nerd comes from the movie Revenge of the Nerds, for the most part. Kind of, you know, pasty Dungeons and Dragons, white guy, blah, 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 with some glasses, with some tape in the middle because he's been bullied so much and blah, blah, blah. But there's a lot of contributions of Black men, Black women, Asian men and women, queer folk, et cetera, across all races that have contributed just as much to nerddom. And this hits me hard because, I'll tell you my personal little sad story. When I was maybe 9 or 10 years old, computers were just becoming a thing because I'm old as hell, right? So this would have been maybe 85 or 86, somewhere in there, or maybe 84. And they had a like C basic class being taught to 10-year-olds. And so my mom signed me up for the class. It was me and like 8 white boys and me. And that was it for that class. And I think the only reason I got in it was because my dad worked at the hospital and he knew a couple of doctors that, you know, kind of were friendly to him. And so I got into this class and we learned how to color, and you know how to make colors with code and how to type in things, make stuff bounce around and how to do sounds and all that, like really basic stuff from the 80s, 8-bit level graphics. And then the Houston Chronicle came and did a story on this advanced computer class. Like, you know, these kids are the future and blah, blah, blah. And they did the story and they interviewed us all and they took a picture and they took a few pictures, right? And they picked the picture that I wasn't in when they put the story in the paper. So and they told us when it was going to be like on a Monday or something. And so we pulled up the paper for the, whatever you call it, lifestyle section. And there's 8 little white boys and clip. And they never mentioned me in the article. And they never said there was a little Black girl in there. And this is what erasure looks like, right? And this is Houston. I love Houston. And Houston is a very progressive city right now. But in the 80s, we don't want that little Black girl. And first off, look at me, right? They wouldn't have known. It was a black and white picture. They wouldn't have really known, right? So it could have been misogyny or racism or a little bit of both. But we're not putting her in this picture. They clipped me out. But they also clipped out history, right? Because now it looks like little Black kids didn't even take or even able to take this kind of class or didn't have the mental capacity for it or whatever. I do remember being faster coding than a couple of them kids because the teacher was like, wow, she's good. You know, I remember hearing that and then nothing. Right. And so think about how many times we've been overlooked in history. So today we are honoring multiple people, especially in speculative fiction and like Afrocentric literature, and just some icons in you know, movies and television that we feel need to be honored because of their contribution to nerd life. All right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna kick it off. I have my trusty list here. We're gonna start with the OG, right? Octavia Butler. Now, James, you know who Octavia Butler is?
I do know who Octavia Butler is.
Okay. So this is another quick story before we pull up her picture so everybody knows what she looks like. This is Octavia Butler. Sadly, she died, I want to say, in 2002. You know what? Let me go look that up real quick. When did she?
Somewhere around there. It was early 2000s. Yes.
2006.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See?
from 1947 2006. So here's the thing. Either last year or the year before, when I was at Dragon Con, I was sitting listening to a panel of writers because at the time I was messing around with the idea of writing a novel. And there was a panel of people, and it was a panel about this woman. It was a panel about Octavia Butler and her contribution to science fiction and how great she was. And it was one white woman who put the panel together, a couple of white men and like one up and coming black woman, I believe. I'm not even sure if I remember there being any black people on the panel because we walked in like, what is it? And what gets me is you got a whole bunch of authors up there who are science fiction authors, and they started to speak. The woman who put it together, of course, she could speak knowledgeably. Every white man up there said, I am not familiar with her work personally, but I understand that she's an excellent author, or I've never read any of her work, but I understand it. So how did you get on this panel? How did you get the chance to get up here and have one more thing to add to your, CV to say you sat on an Octavia Butler panel and you've never heard of her and haven't read her work? And as the panel went on, because everybody in the audience is like, this is some, but as the panel went on, you can take a picture down now so people could actually see us talking. As the panel went on, we're looking around at each other like, what is this? And the question gets asked, how can, aspiring up and coming authors of color, make themselves known or, get a book deal? Like, how can we make it in the industry? And one of these guys who had never heard of or read Octavia Butler was like, well, all you really got to do is just work hard and, put together a really good story. And, then things will come. And what you see James doing right here is exactly what happened in the room. Everybody was like, nah, bro, no, absolutely not.
See,
absolutely
that works if you're a white and male. Emphasis on the and part.
And yes. The exact opposite of me, black and female, white and male. And now let me tell you a little bit about Octavia Butler. So she was one of the first African-American women to break into the genre. She received the MacArthur Genius Grant for her work on Kindred, Parable of the Sower, et cetera, et cetera. In addition to that, where is the rest of her stuff? In addition to that, she before she passed away, she was a predoctoral fellow in gender studies. She actually was dyslexic. That's what I paused. Like, I did not know that.
You're trying to make sure you read that right?
Yeah, I was like, shit, it was her word. Yeah. But when we just think about all of the awards that she got, of course, I pulled up the version of this where they talk about her life. Okay, so Penn Lifetime Achievement Award, City College of New York's Langston Hughes Medal in 2005, a year before her death. The Genius Grant in 1995, the only science fiction writer to receive that. She won a Nebula Award, she won Hugo Awards, two of the highest honors for science fiction. And yet here these white men sit on this panel saying, I've never read any of her work. And, I'm barely familiar with her, but I haven't read any of her stuff. Never heard of her before. Then for you to turn around and say, well, just work hard and write a good novel. She's won multiple awards over multiple years. She's on faculty at different institutions. She's got genius grants where they just take some money and go write some stuff. Right. Not to mention that her Parable of the Sower is being revitalized because she was so spot on with not only the atmosphere, but the year in which we would devolve into the mess we got right now. She even talked about Make America Great Again. And some people thought that was kind of prophetic, but no, you people forget history. That was Ronald Reagan's slogan, Make America Great Again. And Donald Trump took Ronald Reagan's slogan. But her book talked about narcissists rising to power, using religion to froth up his base. Vigilantes running around murdering people on behalf of this, a new sort of American Christianity, which is what we've been hearing, this stuff that they're doing right now, all in the book. Addictions to drugs, corporations owning cities and people, right? Set in 2024 or 2025. She was dead on. But you've never heard of her. Okay.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's the problem.
And unfortunately, and I don't want to harp on this too much, but that happens on the diversity track for all the panels talking about authors of color.
Yeah, they've never read
much to where whether it's Octavia Butler or another well-known author of color that the panels are revolving about, and more than half the panel is white men.
Right.
And it's like, I get it, because these are people who are at Dragon Con, they're pushing books, they may be on other panels, but at the same time, it's like somebody probably asked them because they needed
fillers.
They probably wanted a set number of people on the
we needed these 4 people on this panel gets canceled, something like that.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's that, because actually I've seen panels with just one person talking about something, just doing a Q&A just to keep the audience engaged. But
which begs the question, why didn't they just let the woman who put it together be the only one up there?
With
Matter of
the
fact,
other
she
woman
could have
of color.
pulled people from the audience, and we knew more about Octavia Butler than the other people up there.
Yeah.
And that happened again when they did a panel last year on Supercell, because remember Supercell had come out on Netflix. And we went to the panel, and there's a bunch of white. It was the Brit Track panel.
It was the Brit Track, so that tracks. The Brit Track is nothing but white people.
Yeah, and so they're trying to describe the show, and then there's people in the audience that hadn't seen it, so they were trying to figure out, do they want to watch it or not? And I'm listening to them be horrible at describing the show because they don't understand their lived experience. And so I just raised my hand because I'm watching them struggle, and I couldn't stand it. I was like, what did I say? It was something great. It was like Heroes meets The Wire, Yeah. And if you've seen it, you understand what that means. If you've seen Heroes, you know how people come about their powers and they don't know what's going on. And if you've seen The Wire, you know that there's some shit going down all the time. And that's exactly what that show is about. There's a pattern of women taking on burdens of other people, especially in communities of color. And that pattern is addressed. And the girl on the panel who was talking about the show, she's like, I don't understand why she didn't just blah, blah, blah. I don't understand why she didn't just XYZ. It's because you're not a Black woman. And you don't understand. Right. So on to the next. So first off, if you have not read Parable of the Sower, look for this book on any other thing other than Amazon. Pull up. There's a picture of Parable of the Sower. This is the book that I said was so prophetic about what's going on right now. And now featuring a foreword by LeVar Burton, because why not? So going back to the next person we want to talk about is going to be N.K. Jemisin. Now, this is N.K. Jemisin, and her science fiction is amazing. The books sometimes start off a little bit slow, like, first chapter in, you're like, what are we even talking about? Who, what, Stone, what is happening? And then by the third chapter, you're like, I can't go to bed. I need to know what's going to happen next. And this is what they call the Broken Earth trilogy. So it starts off with the 5th season, then on to the Obelisk Gate, and then to the Stone Sky. And when I tell you, the book is set so far in the future that humanity has been around for like millions of years at this point. And the earth just cracks up and reforms itself all the time. And there are people that have special powers that can decide, they're kind of like all earthbenders to some extent.
Okay.
But some of them are so strong that if they get mad enough, they can crack the earth. Yeah. And so, things go on. But it's a really good series. And that's another person. And again, a lot of people haven't heard of. I started reading N.K. Jemisin a few years ago, and I realized that she has such a plethora of books because she's been writing for so long. And once again, she is Hugo Award for Best Novel 3 consecutive years in a row. Right. And that's for the Broken Earth trilogy. She's a recipient of the MacArthur Fellowship. So they're getting all of these awards and recognition for excellent writing, but they're not getting the publicity or the wide reach of, Sarah J. Maas. No disrespect to Sarah J. Maas, right? But the works are worth publicizing and not just publishing, and You think about how people went crazy for Children of Blood and Bone.
Blood and Bone, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she wasn't the first. I mean, those books are great. I read the first one in like 2 days, hard copy, and bought the other ones a hard copy too, just because I wanted to have a box set. But Children of Blood and Bone, that author, Toby Abiyemi,
I believe so.
Yeah. She's not the first person to be an excellent Afrofuturistic writer. N.K. Jemisin does a lot of that work as well. She's just the one that Hollywood decided, you know what, we're going to do this time.
Right.
And more power to her, because I can't wait for those movies to come out. But there's so much more. And I get irritated with the folks that are in power now picking one to move forward when there's easily a dozen just as worthy. And they don't do that when it comes to other stuff. As a matter of fact, as many times as we've gotten a Superman movie, Hollywood should be looking for new things to do. And there is an ocean of Black talent if they be willing to hire. And because, again, even though white people love to say don't make it about race, they make it about race because they actively avoid things that they think are for Black people. Except our business. If I'm minding my business outside, they come and want to know what I'm doing.
Right.
But if I start a business, well, that's for Black people. We're not going in there. I think I've told you the story before. I was at HEB in Houston, and E40, the rapper,
yes,
he had created a wine. He had a vineyard, and they were selling this wine, the little taste test cups and stuff in the store. And this white woman was like, "Oh, this is delightful," and she really liked it, And I was like, and it was like a young Black man. Because this is when they say I'm not racist, right? It was a young Black man that was, doing the promotion for the wine. And he was talking about the grapes and blah, blah, blah. And there's a vineyard in California and blah, blah, blah. And he had it sold. She had a bottle of red and a bottle of white in her basket. And then he kept talking. And as a salesperson myself and a sales trainer, I always tell people, once you make the sale, shut up. Once you make the sale, be done. Be like, thank you, and move on. But he kept talking to her as she was moving away. And he's like, yeah, actually, E40 owns a vineyard. And she was like, I'm sorry, what? He's like, yeah, E40, he's like a East Coast rapper, and he decided to diversify. And it's a great story. But the minute she heard rapper, she's like, oh, that's wonderful. That's a great story. And I watched her move her basket about 20 feet up and put both of them bottles back. The wine that she admitted was so delightful that she was going to buy 2 bottles. A rapper, and put it down.
All of a sudden beneath her.
Yes. And
I find that funny because depending on her age, she grew up in the 80s, 90s, probably listening to rap music.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna segue here just a little bit to make a point.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of months ago, I went to a Wu-Tang concert, and I expected to see us there.
Mm-hmm.
What I was surprised by was the number of white folk who showed up. And again, it wasn't like I wasn't expecting white people. I expected them to be sprinkled. I wasn't expecting pretty much 40-50% of the audience to be white people, roughly my age, few years, give or take, older, younger, whatever have you, because of where they were most likely late teens, early to mid 20s when Wu-Tang was killing it throughout the 90s and even early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
So that was eye-popping for me. But it's like, y'all here for this concert, but how many of y'all really would support them as far as their business endeavors outside of this concert?
Right.
And it sucks that my mind went there because I'm like, this is a great environment. They're vibing and bobbing to the songs and everything. But if they had side ventures and businesses that they were selling products that you can use in your day-to-day life, or maybe just something for entertainment outside of their music, would you purchase it? Would you buy it?
No. Like, I remember when it came out that the RZA was doing the score for Kill Bill. It was amazing.
It was
and
great score.
Goodness. Right. No, I mean, like, people were like shocked that he was a rapper and and he's with Wu-Tang and never heard of him. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of white people learned about Wu-Tang because of the controversy around him doing that. Because Kill Bill was easily 15 years ago or more?
Almost 20.
Yeah. It's a generation. So that does make sense that they would probably have discovered him between that and the guy with the golden Fist or something. Not Iron Fist, but something else. There was a movie that he was in too. It was a trash movie. But
Kill Bill Volume 1 was 2003.
2003. So 22 years ago. Right. So somebody who is 25 in the audience, yeah, they started discovering them late, but discovering them nonetheless.
And Man with the Iron Fist was 2012. 2012.
Mm-hmm. But you'll have people act like it's unusual or genius level for a Black person to be so well versed in like music theory and being able to score a movie. Like, why do you think he couldn't do that? Do you think all rappers are just GEDs with dealing drugs? Like, not matter of fact, not most of them. Most of them would never end that life. You had a few here and there that, because they did have the cash to back a band. Eazy-E couldn't rap. He had to learn to rap. Eazy-E had money.
Yes, he did.
It was the money they needed to start their little rap group. So, whole nother side of THIStory, right? But moving on. So we got N.K. Jemisin and we got the Broken Earth. Now, these names I actually had not heard before. So even me just didn't know who they were. The next one is, I think, Tananarive, or was it Nalo Hopkinson?
Let's see here.
That is Nalo Hopkinson.
All right.
Now, she is Jamaican-born, a Canadian author, Jamaican-born Canadian author, which is interesting because one of my really good friends is Canadian-born, but Jamaican roots. She won the Damon Knight Award. Where is it? Did I cut that off?
I hope not.
Okay, yeah, she won the Damon Knight Memorial Grand Master Award for her lifetime achievements in speculative fiction. And a lot of her work, because of her Jamaican roots, draws on like Caribbean folklore, like the book here, next one up, which is called Midnight Robber. Mm-hmm. And you see like New York Times giving it a great review. Even at the top it says award-winning author of Brown Girl in the Ring and The New Moon's Arms. Like she's got a library, she's got a bibliography that a lot of people never heard of hers, which is, so I wanted to make sure that we pull in women from across the diaspora tonight, right? And absolutely. Last author, say what?
I said absolutely.
And the last author, I love this one. This is Tananarive. Tananarive, yeah. I want to make sure
you get the pronunciation down.
Or it could be Do or Due. And a leading voice in speculative fiction and Afrofuturism. She is an award-winning author and an expert in Black horror. So you move from the Afrofuturism and maybe some of the science fiction into straight up horror. She teaches a course at UCLA right now, and the course is called, get this, The Sunken Place: Racism, Survival, and the Black Horror Aesthetic.
So I'm not going to be in Cali anytime soon. Is that course online? I got to check. I'm going to see if that course is online.
You should check and see if it's online. And she also was featured in a documentary called Horror Noir, which is about Black horror. A lot of people feel like Jordan Peele created it, but no, this book, The Reformatory, was also an award-winning book. So, she is, once again, you've got masters of their craft that are unparalleled in storytelling that, it's New York Times bestseller, but then, she's a LA Times Book Prize winner. Like, she's got all of these accolades, but then it doesn't live on beyond the first run. You know what I'm saying?
Right. There's no reprint 10, 15 years later.
Right. People still talking about Stephen King and it like it's new, right?
I got it when I was either 12 or 14 years old. And it took me 4 to 6 months to read that book because the miniseries was also on ABC at the time when I got it.
Mm-hmm.
So understand, either 12 or 14, I'm reading this and I realized how demented of a man, because I had seen Cujo on TV. I had seen Christine. I had seen, what's the one, the girl that goes to the prom?
Carrie.
I had seen those on TV, but those are TV version edits to some extent.
Sanitized.
Right. reading it, because I didn't read those other ones. I read it after watching the ABC miniseries. So when this movie came out, two-set movie came out in theaters, and people were like, yeah, we're gonna go see it. I said, y'all have fun. I am still traumatized. I don't need to see it again.
Clown in the gutter with teeth. It's like, I don't need no parts of this.
Between the clown and the giant spider, I'm good.
Yeah. If I want to see a giant spider, I'll go to Australia. But all of that to say, when you think about in colonized worlds, regardless of continent, they do this all over the place. The classics are all white people from Europe.
Men.
White men from Europe. And Amy Shelley for Frankenstein.
Okay. Yeah. I thought it was Mary
honestly,
Shelley.
Did I say Amy Shelley?
Yeah.
Amy Shelley is a girl I used to know in Florida. Mary Shelley.
Mary Shelley, yes.
Yes.
I want to make sure I wasn't crazy. I was like, did I remember the name?
Mary Shelley, yeah.
Mary Shelley,
hey, Amy,
yes.
if you're watching this, hope you're having fun with your kids in Florida. But
yeah,
Mary
she's
Shelley.
the only exception because of Frankenstein. And that's it. Nothing else she wrote.
Right. But the fact that she was like, 19 or something when she wrote that, and outwriting men, over and over again, we see this in the history that we are taught or fed, that men are superior, men are better. Men are not. They're good, but they're not better in a whole lot of things. If we want to talk about just bulking up and muscle, yeah, on average, men are going to be stronger than women. They're taller, their musculature is different, et cetera, but they're not more agile. They're not more dynamic. They're not smarter. We're not even going to get into the hygiene thing in this day and age. In the year of our Lord Al Gore, 2025, people talking about whether they need to take a shower. I thought we was past that.
I saw some things the last time I had to go into the office. I'm good.
Yeah.
We don't need to go there.
Yeah. But yeah, the idea of classics is so narrow in an English speaking society, regardless of where the English speaking society is. Even other countries are learning, it's always Rachmaninoff, it's always Beethoven. It's never Miles Davis.
Right.
It's always, the history of the world starts with like the War of the Roses in Europe. Meanwhile, there's civilizations that are raised and gone before Europe ever stood up straight.
Absolutely.
Right? And so I encourage all of you, the books we talked about, Parable of the Sower, the Reformatory, the Broken Earth series, all of the books that we put up here earlier, run it back on YouTube and look for those books, but also look for the books and read them, because you will not be disappointed. And N.K. Jemisin's discography, if you will, is deep.
Yes, it is.
I feel like I've been reading her stuff forever, because she's also got the Thousand Kingdoms series as well, which is also really good.
Okay.
And Nnedi Okorafor, I didn't have her picture up here, but she's another prolific author. Like, she puts out so many books, and they're usually based in like Western Africa, in a parallel universe or quasi-future thing. Sometimes it deals with natural witches, where you've got your juju and your root and your kai and energy, et cetera. And sometimes it's totally futuristic, set in the real world, but maybe 30 years in the future or something like that. So she does some really, really good stuff. But she writes so many books. Audible to give you a credit every month.
Yeah,
I wasn't keeping up.
Credits you have.
That's something. Yeah, I wasn't keeping up. Like I blew a whole lot of credits on her stuff, and it's all good.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now we are moving on to actresses. And these people need no introduction. Y'all know who these folks are. First up, the Malaysian diva herself, Michelle Yeoh. This woman.
Hey, Auntie.
Hey, Auntie. Yeah, she's one of my girl crushes. I've loved her since I first saw her. And I was like, oh my God, who is that? Former, I think, Miss Malaysia, and trained dancer turned martial artist. The only woman to tell Jackie Chan to stuff it, because he didn't think women could do special stunt work.
Mm-hmm.
And when he met her, he changed all of that to say women can't do stunt work unless it's Michelle. He had this woman ride a motorbike onto a train. That was not, if you've ever seen that clip, that was not special effects or CGI. She rode that bike onto that train. They had to get it in one take, and her life was very much at risk. Michelle Yeoh is that girl.
Absolutely.
And you saw her in a picture holding her Oscar for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Very much well-deserved. She is amazing in that, and also in Star Trek Discovery.
Yep.
I loved seeing her alter ego dark version. I'm here for it. We can do that all day. You know, and she's also in the Marvel Universe now, you know, because she was in Shang-Chi. And speaking of the Marvel Universe, next up we got Zoe Saldana. Now, Zoe, did I put a picture of Zoe in there?
You did. I'm getting to it.
Now, Zoe, you know, she's one of the Afro Latinas that we try to pick as ours. Issa Rae.
Yeah, Issa Rae. I don't think you gave me a picture of Zoe.
Okay, so we don't have a picture. Y'all know what Zoe Saldana looks like because she's Gamora, right?
Wait, there it is. My bad. They're out of order.
Okay. So once you get her up, we'll talk about her, and then you just pull up the next picture, and I will adjust. So this is Zoe Saldana, not to be mistaken for Tandy Newton, because a lot of people. Oh gosh,
yes.
Tandy Newton has actually been on talk shows talking about people thought were asking about her new baby because they thought that she was Zoe Saldana who had just had a baby, right? Like I want to say it was Posh Spice, the one that's married to David Beckham. Like they were like running on treadmills at whatever gym rich white people go to in London, and she's just running, and you know she knew Posh Spice, Kate Beckham. Yeah, she knew her, so she just chatted her up, and it wasn't until the woman said, you know, you really gotten your figure back after the baby, blah blah blah, and she's like,
what baby?
Sorry, do you think I'm Zoe Saldana? Oh. And the lady, like she said, she stopped the treadmill, like, oh my god. She goes, and so they do look a lot alike. I would say they look more like cousins, though.
I would have never thought they favored each other until I saw that clip, because I'm looking at them like, why do people think this is Zoe? This is clearly not Zoe. Until they did, because somewhere along the clip they actually freeze Tandy's image and put up Zoe's picture beside her, and I'm like, okay, thank you, because now I can't unsee that.
Yeah, once I mean, when I first saw it, I saw them as a similar face as well. And it's interesting because they have very different backgrounds, you know. But also, you know, Zoe's again Marvel Universe playing Gamora. She's also done a bunch of other films, but she is Afro-Latina, and not African American per se. Although we do claim her, we pick her because we want to. And that's how it goes in the Black community. We just decide if we like you enough that we're picking you. Okay. Right. So who do we have next up, James?
Next, let's go to Issa Rae then. Since that was technically the next photo in this set.
Now Issa Rae got really, really popular. She's such a pioneer, not just in nerdy space, because she is a nerd herself.
Yes.
And she's done some. She's. I want to say she was in a couple of Black Mirror episodes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, she was.
In addition to having her own production company, and it all started with YouTube because people weren't giving her the time of day. And when you talk about an indomitable spirit, she's like, "You want to do it? Fine, I'll do it myself. If I got to make a studio, I'll do it." And just started filming Awkward Black Girl. And I remember it was a sleeper hit on YouTube, like maybe 10-minute episodes. And everybody was talking about Awkward Black Girl, and it was real and it was gritty and it wasn't filmed very well. And it was, you know, a multi-ethnic cast and everything, but it was funny and it was authentic.
Yes.
Which is as America evolves, even though we're in a devolution phase right now, as we evolve, authenticity and empathy become more and more important. I'm not going to take y'all down. I'm trying so hard not to take y'all down the train of why we are where we are. Consider it a death rattle, if you will. But her being able to go from Awkward Black Girl to
Insecure
was unprecedented. And we keep seeing Black people do unprecedented things. Like think about Sinners, right? And how that deal that what's your boy's name?
Ryan Coogler.
Yeah, the deal that Ryan Coogler brokered, it wasn't unheard of, but it was unusual. And you know, you talking about Black people starting to know their worth. Issa Rae's like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and you can't stop me because it's my studio, so I'll do what I want.
Right.
Y'all told us if you don't like it, go make your own studio. Bet, say less, and she did it. And she put a whole lot of other people on because she was one of the producers for Black Girl Sketch comedy show on
HBO.
On Black Lady Sketch Show on HBO. And she's done several other things. She was the president, if we don't forget. She was the Black Barbie president.
Yes,
as well.
She was.
And she spawned a whole set of online t-shirt companies who decided to take her phrase, I'm rooting for everybody Black,
yes,
and make a t-shirt out of it, you know, without any licensing whatsoever. But I know a lot of people that have them t-shirts and they all bought them from a different company.
Absolutely.
So
and more than likely somebody Black or ran a t-shirt company.
Exactly.
Because it wasn't going to like Etsy unless it was like, you Black? Okay.
Right. Because otherwise, you know. But anyway, yeah, she spawned a whole generation of other and inspired another generation of amazing people. Another woman whose picture I didn't have, but I'm just thinking about her now, is Marsai Martin.
Yes.
Youngest producer ever in Hollywood. Marsai Martin being, you know, Diane off of Blackish. Yeah. And
the younger daughter on Blackish.
The younger daughter. And she took off and ran with it. And I love it. She is an icon in and of herself. And she's growing up so well. Yeah. Next person we have on the list is who, James?
This young lady.
Margaret Cho. And this is a relatively recent picture of Margaret Cho. So Margaret Cho, for those of you who don't know, because this is what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
I'm tired. And so my brain is just shut down. So for those of y'all who are under 40, this is what menopause does to you when you get my age. You just be like, you'll be thinking something and lose in the middle of the sentence, forget what you were talking about. It's amazing. But Margaret Cho, so she started off as a stand-up comic, yes, right? But then she went on, she's a actor and activist. And she has long critiqued like political problems, particularly on race and sexuality. And she had the sitcom All American Girl. So if you've seen that, then that's her work. And it was the first network show to feature an Asian American family. You know, so before Fresh Off the Boat,
right.
There was All American Girl, and she is an icon of resistance.
Yes.
You know, like you have served several comedians, actors, etc., that have been very vocal about their stance on different things that fall across the political spectrum. And much respect to her for never backing down. All right. Okay. Who else do we have?
Ack. My buttons. Oh.
Now, this is one of my girl crushes.
Look here. Look.
We can
Zoe
fight
Washburn right here. Zoe Washburn.
Yes.
Is my boo.
Zoe Washburn is my boo too.
Okay.
So
I know a lot of people probably more recently seen her in Suits.
Way before Suits, though. She was Zoe Washburn.
And before that, she was on, what was it? Cleopatra, what is it? 2020 or 25, whatever. I can't remember what the number was, but it was a show. It was her and two other women, sci-fi show. I
don't even remember that show, but yeah. So she's got deep sci-fi roots, right? So from that sci-fi show to Firefly, which is where I first saw her, and then on to Suits and so on and so forth. But she also is Afro-Latina, and it's wild because her name is Gina Torres. But like most Black people, we just like she Black. Yep. And we just picked her up. And her and Zoe have talked about Hollywood's resistance to putting Afro-Latinas in movies.
Yeah.
If you speak Spanish or Portuguese, you are white presenting, and that's what they recognize in those spaces. But having an Afro Latina, it's becoming more recognized, understood, and accepted. But yeah, it's a long road. And so for a long time, we had a whole lot of people that we said was Black that are not Black. Those two, and the other famous one, Giancarlo Esposito. His whole name, don't nothing about his name say Black, but we know him as Dean,
Big Brother
Almighty, and he gonna be that until all of us die. And so that's gonna be a minute.
Before he was Moff Gideon, before he was Gus.
Right. He was Dean, Big Brother Almighty. Yeah. It's an amazing movie. If you haven't seen School Days, it's another movie you should go check out. But my point is, we didn't think about the fact that he might be African Italian. Nah, he's Black from Detroit. That's what he said in the movie. I am from Detroit, Motown.
Name Giancarlo.
Yes. So we just really wanted to bring all of those together, but that's not everybody, is it? Because we got a couple more.
There's one more. Well, two more.
Yes. We'll save the best for last.
And everybody knows who this is.
Danai Gurira. And some people know her as Michonne. I feel like she probably answers to Michonne at this point. Or Okoye, the leader of the Dora Milaje. And I just want to take just a moment of silence for the hearts that were broken. Just looking at her. This is a breathtakingly beautiful picture of her. But here's the thing. She looks like this every day. It's not like they touched this up or airbrush her. This is just her with some lipstick on and a white shirt. You know how beautiful you got to be to rock just some lip gloss and a white shirt and turn out a model level picture like this? I've seen myself in a white shirt in a mirror all the time, and I'm sad. I don't look nothing like this.
And I find it funny that, well, not funny, but it's telling about Hollywood in general. Women like Danai and, especially darker skinned women in Hollywood, right. if they are in movies where they're this sole Black character and there may be another white woman in a lead role alongside them, they will do everything possible in the movie to diminish their beauty so that the white woman stands out. I bring this up because recently I saw on, what was that movie called? The 355 or 335. It's a movie about multiple women spies from different countries trying to stop a terrorist plot that is held by the lead actress's ex-boyfriend because they both work for the CIA. Lupita Nyong'o was in that film.
Okay.
You've seen Lupita Nyong'o. You know how gorgeous that woman is. Okay. Of the other 4 women in that film, there was, I'm blanking on the Asian woman's name, but the other 3 actors are white presenting, very white. Like there's no missing that whatsoever. They're clearly white. One represents America, one was England. No, sorry, 2 white women. One America, one German. And then
Asian and Black. Yeah.
So, and then the 5th woman was Indian.
Okay.
Or someone from that region of India. I don't want to necessarily say Indian, but Lupita's character had like a scar on her face. Like, but they never explained it, right? Typically when people have battle scars or whatever, they explain, well, this is the reason she's not in the field anymore. And they just pretty much said, she was in the field, now she teaches. Or she gives lectures and seminars on security. They never address what happened, why. They just randomly have the scar on her face with zero explanation. I'm like, that's not mystery. Y'all purposely put that scar on her face in a place to make her seem less attractive than her white counterparts.
And we won't even talk about the generations of Black actors and actresses who couldn't even get makeup or hair done. They come and do their own hair. Hey, Mark. Not the Black. I love the logo. I love the profile picture you got.
Right.
That's what's up. But so we were talking. So Danai Black Lady Sketch Show was the best.
That's the best. Yes, it was.
And also, that's another thing. We're talking about nerd stuff now, but nerds are also funny. And what I liked about the Black Lady Sketch Show and Robin's creativity is it showed that there was a long time where men said women couldn't be funny. And then that Black women were such a niche that they couldn't be funny at all because nobody would even understand it, blah, blah, blah. And then they didn't speak good English and all other kind of nonsense. But that show was amazing. It was phenomenal.
Yes, it was.
And it spoke to the creativity of Black women because the things they were talking about, all of it was trendy. You know what I mean? All of it was something like you flip up on TikTok, they talking about the same thing, regardless of race. And so they were, as Black people tend to be, they were the pulse of what was cool in the moment, you know? And I'm sad that I can't see it anymore because I don't have HBO. But yeah, like I said before, that was a Issa Rae deal through HBO. So people, that's what I also like to see is people putting other people on. And so Issa Rae be building empires. It's awesome. And finally, we have the OG. Would not be complete without her. The one, the only. Bruh.
She's right here.
Nichelle Nichols.
Patience Grasshopper.
And so if you don't know who this is, I need you to get off the internet right now and go watch all of Star Trek. But as a matter of fact, she is who Zoe Saldana played in Star Trek in the reboot.
Right.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Same character.
Nyada Uhura. Mm-hmm. And she was encouraged. At one point, she didn't want to even be on the show anymore because, you know, it's a hassle working with a bunch of weird white dudes. But Martin Luther King was like, please stay on the show because you're an inspiration to so many. And she absolutely was. She spawned not only for Black girls or Black boys as well. Yes, you too can be in outer space, right? You too can be part of a exploratory science team going out here to boldly go where man has never gone before, et cetera, et cetera. I know I messed that up. I'm copyrighted. But
sorry, we got the gist.
Yeah. Trying to stay out of trouble with the censors. But talk to us about your story, James, about when you met this woman.
So I met her, what was it, 2017 or 18 at Dragon Con. Told you I was going to mention Dragon Con again. She came through and, you know, we knew that coming off because I think the last thing she did film or TV wise was the stint she had on Heroes. Right. And yeah, this is one of the few times at Dragon Con that I was hell bent. I'm going by because I didn't even know she was there. This is one of those rare things. Like, I know all the Star Trek alum who come through from all the shows that I've seen. This is way before Discovery or any of that stuff happened. So I was in a panel, women on Star Trek, and talking about basically women from the original series all the way up through Voyager at this point, because that was the last TV show that was done. And talking about treatment of women, both in front of and behind the camera, and how the writing rooms, they were pretty much bullied out of them, so to speak. And someone had mentioned on the panel that, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And Nichelle Nichols, who's here, by the way. And I was like, word? Because I was listening, but then I started paying attention. I was like, because you said Nichelle Nichols. I'm sorry, what? So yeah, I immediately texted one of my friends who was there. I was like, so when I'm done with this panel, I'm going right to a Walk of Fame. I'm getting a photo and her autograph, and I don't care what it costs. And I have used that as my profile photo a few times. But she was wonderful to engage with and talk to. You know, asked her how she was enjoying the con, because, you know, at this point she was early 80s at this point. I mean, this is shortly before she passed away, because I think she had passed away like 2 years after this.
Wow.
So, and unfortunately, earlier that year, she had a stroke. So she was still somewhat recovering from that. So, but no, she was very engaging, very, very warm and engaging to talk to. Got a photo with her. It was literally, for that con that year, easily the best moment I had at Dragon Con for that year, period, hands down, bar none. Still one of the top 5 2 or 3 things that that has happened to me at Dragon Con
Nice.
in the almost 15 years that I've been going. So yeah, very easy. So it because it's one of those things where it's like, okay, she's here, but is she on any panels, right?
Right.
They mentioned that she had because I think this was the Saturday of the parade, and it was afterwards, and that's why someone mentioned, like, yeah, she was in a parade earlier today, and so I was like, yeah, you got to go see her.
Yeah,
you have to, because
Can you imagine if you had faltered?
Please understand that the only reason I became interested in the original cast was because of the movies. You know, I was born in the late 70s. I grew up in the 80s, where their movies basically started making headway. You know, starting with The Wrath of Khan, because it took me forever to actually get through the motion picture. It's boring. But watching all the original cast come back every 2 to 3 years to do a movie was something I look forward to Star Trek, because I definitely want to see what they were going to have her do. And unfortunately, because like I said, you mentioned earlier, she was going to leave after the first year of being on it, because she felt as if she wasn't, you know, being utilized properly, if you will.
She wasn't really being appreciated for what she could bring. They just had they tokenized her for
a good
portion of it. You know, she
had
her back to the camera for most of the time.
Yeah,
turn around and basically say they make fun of this in Galaxy Quest with Sigourney Weaver's character, where you just basically repeat what the computer said.
And she did, the way she was written and what they portrayed were virtually night and day, because you really didn't see it really too much, not even in the movies. But then again, outside of Spock, Kirk, and McCoy, the movies didn't feature the other 4 members of the cast too much.
Right.
Every now and then, you know, if the ship is struggling to get out of somewhere, Scotty, we need full power, and that's it. But between Chekhov, Sulu, and Uhura, it was like they were also ants. And it's like
Chekhov never left the ship.
Except for what was it? The movie with the whales where he got knocked unconscious and they had to save him.
Oh yeah. When they had to go back in the past to save the whales and everything. Yeah.
But they did a better job of her character and what she meant to that ship when they did the reboots with Zoe. And it's kind of like, y'all waited this long to truly, because she was the communications officer on Star Trek, which means, and this is the stupid part. So in Undiscovered Country, and I'm gonna get to the point as quickly as possible. Undiscovered Country is basically showing the events that lead up to a peace treaty between, or an alliance, if you will, between the Federation and the Klingons, who for the entire run of the original series show were like mortal enemies.
Yeah, the villains.
You know, there was neutral turf on certain space stations, but once they were in space, every Klingon ship's goal was, you see the Enterprise, you murk it. That's the brass ring right there. You get so much clout if you take out Kirk and the Enterprise, because that ship is the bane of our existence, right? So Undiscovered Country leads up to that. There's a point in there where they're trying to masquerade themselves as a Klingon vessel to get into Klingon space to rescue Kirk and Bones from some type of detention planet, because they had a sham trial and found guilty. Remember, she's a communications officer. There's a scene in the film where they are going through communications books when they're on a ship. They're going, literally everybody on the bridge is going through a book. This is a starship that has a database of languages. One, she is a communications officer. She knows Klingon for as long as she's been in that role. And they're trying to figure out how to say one phrase in Klingon. 20 some odd people on that set, in that scene. And she's the communicator. I was like, why was this scene in the movie if she's the communications officer? That could have been an easy, whatever Klingon phrase could be said. And it's like, that doesn't make sense for the communications officer for as long as she's been the communications officer.
How is she not fluent in Klingon?
Right. Like, y'all dumped her down like that, which why I'm glad they did a course correction in the reboot film, because the first one, when they run into Klingons, Zoe's version of Uhura actually does get on there and responds in Klingon.
Not only that, but she understood the dialect difference between Klingon and whatever the other group was that had actually come through the time rift. I can't remember.
They were Romulans.
Romulans. Yeah. She could distinguish between Klingon and Romulan, which is, I'm guessing, like distinguish between like Mandarin and Cantonese. Like, what did you say? Yeah.
So, but Nichelle Nichols, and the thing is, like, she did other things besides Star Trek at the time. There's some clips going around of her in some blaxploitation films from the mid to late 70s. And people are pretty much just awestruck, like, wait, that's Nichelle Nichols? Like, yeah, she didn't just do Star Trek.
Right. And blaxploitation, for all of its flaws, has a special place in like cinematic history.
Yes.
Because they were made on a shoestring budget, highly ridiculous, highly entertaining, but also made you kind of feel like, they were that generation's don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood.
Yes.
We can laugh at this. It can be silly. It can be funny. Black Dynamite, very much the same thing,
Which is spoofing all of that.
Spoofing
all the flaws and, the good, the bad, the ugly with that genre of film.
Because I remember seeing Dolomite try to do a front roundhouse kick, and I was like, what was that? What did I just see? He did it with hard bottom shoes on and dress pants. What is going on?
Oh, man.
Yeah, the whole thing is ridiculous. But back to women in history with some nerdy affiliations. What I didn't do, and I didn't do it on purpose, is go through and look into like women in computers. Because I've done that so many times, and I know that the information is readily out there. But just know that it was a Black woman that gave you GPS. It was a Black woman that gave you the home security system.
Yep.
Right. It was a Black woman that gave you, oh man, and there it is.
Surgery.
Say what?
LASIK surgery.
LASIK surgery. Thank you. That's what I was thinking of. And yeah, if you just look up, LASIK surgery, Black woman, GPS, Black woman,
home security system.
Matter of fact, Ring and
ADT.
all of the ADT and all the other companies still use her patent as a base whenever they make new products, because she had the closed circuit TVs and all that kind of stuff from Radio Shack. That's how her and her husband put it all together, right?
Yeah, I'm familiar with it as well because I've done presentations at work, DEI presentations at work to feature Black women as far as inventions or just Black women history in general. And have a nice little deck set up, at least 7 to 8 of them in it.
Same.
Those three always at the top, because I'm like, I want to put these three at the top because this is stuff, your day-to-day life, that you would not have if it wasn't for a Black woman. And
Dr. Kizimeka, I forgot her last name, but they call her Kizzy, which I think is really ironic considering the history of, the association of that name with Roots. Kizzy was Kunta Kinte's daughter. And if you watch the remake of Roots from like 2018, Kizzy was a badass. But Dr. Kizimeka, she cured COVID. I'm just gonna say she saved the world. I'm exaggerating, but her mRNA research was the basis for both the Pfizer and the Moderna virus vaccines for COVID-19. Okay. And none of that work could have been done without her. And one of the reasons it was so rapidly produced is because of the research she had already been doing, because we knew that a pandemic was possible. And rather than hope for the best, she prepared for the worst and saved the world. So Black women save the world. Cannot. Thank you, Dr. Kizzy. Because I've had all of those Pfizer shots.
Yes.
All the boosters. So I think that's everybody that I had that we wanted to talk about tonight. Did I miss anybody?
Nope, that's everybody.
Okay. So we still got a little bit of time left. So I want to switch over to who else do you want to talk about? You know what? I saw this the other day, and you probably will be good at it, but we're going to try this game real quick. Name 6 Black superheroes that don't have Black in their name and also don't have lightning powers. You want Black in general, or you just want women? Ooh, if you can do women, do that. Vixen. Okay. Bumblebee. Misty Knight. Bumblebee has an electric shock. Bumblebee has an electric zap. No, it's not electric per se. I don't want to get into. Okay, fine. Misty Knight. Yep.
Misty Knight. The Batwoman
Okay.
is black, whether you want to acknowledge that or not. She does have a black I won't say counterpart, but in the comics. That's DC. Marvel.
Yeah.
Marvel be Misty Knight, who I already named. Shuri.
Black Panther. Black is in the name.
Okay. Aurora Monroe.
Storm. Lightning.
Dang it. I'm trying.
The original Lightning.
The power is restricting because I'm trying to stay away from. Okay, so yeah, that's all the women who don't have black in the name or lightning. Oh, Riri.
Yeah, okay. Okay, Ironheart. I give you that.
I don't know why I'm blanking on my girl Lunella Lafayette.
The witch?
No. Moon Girl.
Oh yeah. What's funny is,
That's
I know her as Moon Girl. I did not remember her name was Lunella.
Yeah, Misty.
Yeah, I think you did 6.
Yeah, cool. that was just women.
Good, nice. So I commend you in your nerdydom for knowing all of that. But yeah, it is a weird phenomenon that a lot of comic writers put black superheroes with specifically lightning power or electricity power. They were never, other than Luke Cage, not really like super strong. They were never mystic arts people. It was just always lightning.
Brother Voodoo.
Brother Voodoo?
Never Brother Voodoo has mystic powers.
What is that? DC?
He's Marvel. He normally crosses paths with Doctor Strange, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist from time to time.
Okay, that makes
mainly
sense.
Those three, but yeah, he's part of that mystic arts realm of Marvel Comics.
Okay. Well, we will not drag this show on just for the sake of dragging it on, because it is Dragon Con, and we gotta pack. We gotta get ready. I gotta finish sewing some stuff onto my costume. I gotta find my corset. Yeah, I got stuff to do.
Yeah, there's stuff to do. To do.
And for those of you that are in Atlanta, I hope to see you this weekend at Dragon Con. For those of you who are elsewhere, you're missing out.
Stop.
Come to Atlanta Labor Day weekend next year, because Dragon Con is gonna be fire. It's fire every year. And the Black Geeks, shout out to the Black Geeks at Dragon Con. We did a panel with them last night about what to expect, because like the Black Geeks Dragon Con photo shoot started with like 20 people 10 years ago, and it's over 400 people now. And that's just the people that hear about it, that already know about it. Every year we find some more folks that don't know about it, and we bring them out. And now we've expanded beyond the biggest steps to the biggest steps and the little annex stairs on the side. They got to put an extra riser in for us, man. We're going to get like a drone to take a picture because we are so huge. So yeah, come stop by the Black Geeks at Dragon Con Sunday if you're going to go to Dragon Con this year.
Absolutely.
And with that, I just want you all to go read a book. I know that sounds trite, but check out N.K. Jemisin and Nnedi Okorafor and Octavia Butler. All of them are great, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. I'm reading a book right now. I'm actually listening to it on audiobook. I happened to cross it when I was trying to figure out how to spend this little 1 credit I had, and it is. See if I can make that bigger. It's Noelle Vela is the author, and the book that I'm listening to is called. See if I can get that in there. The Witches of Salix Point. And it's set in Gullah Geechee country, off the coast of Georgia. And two of the women in it are descendants of like legendary witches,
Gotcha.
And they got to figure out their powers and blah blah blah. But it's so far it's a really promising and really good book. Good. And it's a trilogy, so already finished. If you like to binge, you can binge all 3 of them.
All right, cool. Rocket. I forgot about Rocket.
And I forgot about Amanda Sternberg. Again, another person of color in science fiction, sci-fi spaces. Not only did she start off as Rue in the Hunger Games.
Yes.
I don't know if it was her star, but that's how I first saw her. Then she was in The Hate You Give. Wasn't that her as well? And she also has been supporting a series of comic books that are supposed to be getting turned into, I think, an anime at some point. And so, yeah, If you look up Amanda Sternberg anime, see what you get, do some digging, because the more you dig around and look for these books and look for these type of things online, you know how algorithms work, the more you will get.
Yes,
and the more you will find that artist, that comic, that manga, that novel that you've been looking for. My suggestions are nothing but Black people on Audible and Kindle. So get into it. Mm-hmm. And with that, I am done. This has been another episode of THIStory Nerd Edition. And we will catch you all at the end of September next month. All right.
Good night, everybody.
So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will.
If this the land of the free, it was a freedom then, when they annexed Hawaii and called it Cedar Lands, without any type of payment and no signing off. Called themselves the Republic in 1894. 1.2 million acres overtaken from the native Hawaiians. When they resisted, the West retaliated in violence and erasure. The Hawaiian language is banned as part of colonialism's plan to expand.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No work out for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.
So if we put Hawaii into perspective, well, Black and Asian history is interconnected. Considering the fight with the Pacific, then of course, versus Asia, they was treated as a middleman for war, but didn't let the Western colorism run its course, cause dark skin was a sign of dignity to core. The land was taken in the name of capitalism, when prior to it was an actual kingdom. Clap back at the system.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No work out for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.